Hey guys, Nick Davies, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, NLP and life coaching. Today's video is called Rabbit Hole Psychosis and Red Pill Trauma. So this is a phenomenon I've noticed more and more recently occurring, where people start to look at society, they start to look at politics, they start to look at how the world is run, and they notice that things are different than what they originally were led to believe. And I can say this without sounding like a conspiracy theorist. So essentially what happens is when it's the same with human beings. If you look at the part of the model of Carl Gustav Jung, about how he says that we have a persona, this is the part of us that we show the world. Then we have the self, that's who we are behind closed doors, that we know that we change. It's like, you might, a good example I use is, not true of everybody because some people do this, is that, when you're comfortable at home, and I do this certainly, is I'll put my tracksuit on and a baseball cap. However, when I'm at work, I'd never dream of dressing like that, I always wear a shirt and a jacket. So my persona that that people show the world is how you want to be portrayed for work, in terms of your peers, your colleagues, and things like that. Whereas when you're at home, your true self is how you are when you're relaxed. Your language may become a bit more sloppy as well and untidy. And then you've got behind that what Carl Gustav Jung called your shadows. These are the things that you don't know about yourself that might be unconscious behaviours, and more often than not, not very nice behaviours that you're unaware of and might be in denial about. And the world essentially is like that. So, when we're children, we're brought up to believe that, everybody's good and, everybody's looking after us, that politicians have our best interests at heart, the police and things like that are always going to look after us and always going to be fair. Doctors are always going to save your life, and we go on, and teachers are always going to teach you the best information. And then when you look into it, that's an impossible model anyway. There's always going to be human error and elements where human beings, with their shadow behaviours, don't behave in those ways. So as you start to research these things, you'll see those generalisations that you brought up as a child aren't true. So you start to see the shadows of society, the shadows of authority figures and things like that. So that's the first step, and that's not going to give you too much of a paradigm shift. You're going to just say, right, as you become an adult, you realise all these things, that human beings aren't perfect, and we're all fallible and can make mistakes, and some people are not as nice as others, and etc., etc. So that's the first step that people go down, and that's a bit of a shift, and you might feel a bit down about that, but that's what we might call growing up. But then people start to go further down the rabbit hole or choosing the red pill, and they start to see and learn things that may or may not be true. Some are true, some may not be true. But in this world of social media and this mass media, we have so many different channels and so many sources of information bombarding our brain that it can get to the stage where life is completely flipped on its head. And then people think that life is doing a complete 180. It's completely reversed to what we initially thought would happen. And what happens is this affects some people's brains, where the structure and the safety, when we're growing up, the first two things we're looking for is safety and security, essentially. And obviously happiness after that, but essentially what we need to survive and thrive is safety and security. So what happens within these people, they get a real sense of maybe feeling safe and secure in the world, and then when they start to learn these new things by going down the rabbit hole or taking the red pill and learning all these new things and recognising things aren't as they originally thought, that this has a massive impact on the brain, and the brain is unable to process this information, so it can lead to them experiencing a trauma. So essentially what I've noticed with these people is they start to suffer with anxiety, with depression, with trauma, in some cases even psychosis, where it sort of almost bends their brain to the point where they start to have very unusual behaviours or thoughts or beliefs and things like that. Now, the important things with this is, I say to people, it's important to be a truth seeker and to look out for what the truth is behind things, but recognise your brain only has a capacity to deal with certain things at certain times. So the equivalent is, if you went from sitting in your home feeling safe and secure, having a coffee and a cup of tea and having your meal, and then you're whipped away into a world war or a war or something like that, and you have to witness all this different stuff that's going on, not knowing where your next meal's coming from, not knowing if you're going to be safe, this, that and the other, you're going to change very, very quickly. And it's this jump from one thing to the other that makes people sometimes mentally unhealthy, and it can really affect them. And I've seen this, in a couple of people in my friendship groups. So what I advise people is, by all means, be a truth seeker and start to look at these things, but also balance it with your own life. Are you doing the important things in your life? Do you have structure in your life? Are you getting regular exercise? And you don't have to join a gym, it's going for walks. So you're getting out in fresh air. Are you meeting other people that aren't, digging their heads down the rabbit hole and having this, choosing the red pill and things like that? Because you need a sense of balance in life, because if you take away your safety and security, have a guess what, you're going to start to feel anxious. Anyway, it's just a short video on a phenomena that I've noticed happening a lot since lockdown, in fact. But love your comments and feedback. Hopefully it's helped you. If you know somebody that is struggling, please share the video with them. I try and do sort of short videos that kind of help people understand concepts. But the most important thing in life is get that structure in first before you start to go down the rabbit hole. Because I even know myself, I have a work phone and a private phone. And I'll notice myself scrolling, and you get, time goes so quick, you get lost in it. So I have to be quite disciplined with that as well. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like, subscribe and share.